The movie starts with Matt, Karen, and Foggy leaving the office, weighed down by recent events. Karen tells them that nearly 30% of their team has already retired. When Foggy questions the number, she confidently assures him it's accurate. They head to a nearby bar for the party, where they see familiar faces. Among them is Cherry, saying a bittersweet farewell as he ends his retirement. Cherry, who was once a proud police officer, now feels like his job no longer matters. Vigilantes like Daredevil and White Tiger have taken over, making law enforcement seem less important. He tries to hide his frustration by forcing a smile and holding a drink, but deep down, his resentment is clear. Detective Kim sits beside him and tries to persuade him to return to the force. She reminds him of his years of experience and the difference he made as a cop. However, Cherry refuses. He believes the future of justice is no longer in the hands of the police but with Daredevil and White Tiger. On the other side of the bar, Foggy and Kirsten are deep in conversation, their exchange flowing effortlessly. Karen watches them closely and assumes that Foggy is flirting with Kirsten. She raises an eyebrow, amused by the interaction. Matt also seems entertained by his friend's behavior, quietly enjoying the moment. Meanwhile, the night takes an unexpected turn when Foggy's phone rings. On the other end, Benny's voice is tense and urgent. He needs help immediately and says he's at Foggy's place. Foggy, sensing the panic in his friend's voice, tries to calm him down, but something feels off. Matt and Karen notice the shift in Foggy's demeanor and step outside to ask what's going on. However, Foggy struggles to give them a clear answer. Before they can piece things together, time runs out. It's already too late to stop what's coming. Afterward, Daredevil goes toward the apartment, instincts taking over. But in his rush, he leaves Foggy and Karen exposed. The mistake costs him. Bullseye strikes fast, and before anyone can react, a shot rings out. Foggy drops. By the time Daredevil returns, the damage is done. Foggy is bleeding out, and there's no undoing it. Fury takes hold, and he goes after Bullseye with everything he has. The fight rages through the building, fists and weapons clashing as they tear their way to the rooftop. But in the middle of the battle, Daredevil hears it, that final, haunting silence. Foggy's heart stops. Overwhelmed, Daredevil doesn't hesitate. He hurls Bullseye off the roof, sending him crashing below. Somehow, the assassin survives. Daredevil rips off his mask, grief breaking through as he collapses. But he's not alone. Cherry, standing nearby, has seen everything. He knows the truth now. Matt and Daredevil are one and the same. A year later, the man once known as Daredevil is gone. Matt has abandoned the mask, choosing a life within the law, not outside it. Elsewhere, a group of men sit together as tension rises between two of them. Their argument escalates until Vanessa steps in, reminding them they're about to make millions and should stop acting like children. She then turns to Luca, confirming that Red Hook is exempt from taxes or payments. After his reassurance, she faces Victor, telling him to watch his tone and orders everyone to avoid conflict. Meanwhile, the group begins their meeting, but they are suddenly interrupted by Fisk. The men quickly step out, sensing the weight of his presence. Even Vanessa is caught off guard. Fisk wastes no time, he makes it clear that he wants her back. He insists they can do great things for the city, and reassures her that nothing he touches is ever seen as illegal. But Vanessa stands firm, reminding him that the business she built is bulletproof and doesn't need his protection. Meanwhile, journalist B.B. Urich questions strangers about the current situation, asking if they feel safe. Their response is clear: they don't. With Daredevil no longer around, fear has taken hold, and the city feels more dangerous than ever. Matt has chosen the legal path, trusting the system to deliver justice, and for now, it seems to be working. Bullseye is sentenced to life, locked away where he can't hurt anyone else. Karen barely speaks to Matt. Grief has built a wall between them, and neither tries to break it. She misses Foggy, but Matt shutting himself off hurts even more. After an argument, Karen asks about Daredevil. Matt says he promised to let the system handle things. He's not Daredevil anymore. She hands him something she found at Josie's, then walks away. Afterward, Matt tries to move forward. Something darker brews in the background. The city is searching for a new mayor, and Fisk is leading the charge. He presents himself as the answer to Hell's Kitchen's chaos, a man who can restore order. When Matt hears the news, the shift in his world is immediate. He may have stepped away from being Daredevil, but this, Fisk rising to power, disturbed him. If Fisk takes control, no courtroom will be strong enough to stop what's coming. Fisk prepares for the debate that could secure his election victory. During a team meeting, Blake mentions the strong social media support backing Fisk. Impressed, Fisk asks why he voted for him, and Blake says he trusts him to get things done for New York. Meanwhile, Matt is in his office when Kirsten reminds him about his appointment with Heather. At the coffee shop, he realizes it's not a job meeting, and Kirsten sets him up on a date. The awkwardness fades as Matt convinces Heather to stay, and their conversation flows smoothly. Back at the office, Matt confronts Kirsten for playing matchmaker. She laughs it off, and he reminds her to give him Heather's contact. Cherry arrives at the office, anxious about what's coming. Matt listens carefully but stays neutral, refusing to place blame. He explains that if the people of New York vote for Fisk as mayor, then he deserves the position. Cherry, however, is clearly unhappy with the situation. At night, Fisk makes his position clear: vigilantes need to be handled. The so-called treatment is back in play, and whatever hope Matt had is gone. The next day, Matt meets Fisk at Becky's diner. Their conversation appears civil, but Matt is really probing for information. Fisk leans in, his voice low, making one thing clear: he didn't kill Foggy. Whether Matt believes him or not doesn't seem to matter. Matt, in turn, makes his own declaration. He is no longer Daredevil, no longer the vigilante Fisk once fought. But before leaving, he issues what Fisk calls a caution. They both know it's a threat. Fisk reminds Matt that he will be mayor soon. He warns that he won't tolerate anyone running around disrupting order. If Matt returns to his old ways, there will be consequences. But Matt doesn't flinch. He turns and walks away. Afterward, Wilson Fisk wins the mayoral race. No surprises, no last-minute twists. It happens fast. When Matt hears the news, he simply turns off the TV and steps out for a walk with Heather. Fisk meets Vanessa on the rooftop once again. He tells her he knows about Adam. Worried, she pleads with him not to kill him. Fisk reassures her that he's not that kind of man anymore, and promises he won't harm Adam. Matt and Heather see crowds flooding the streets, cheering as if Fisk's victory is their salvation. Before heading home, Heather gives Matt a kiss, a brief moment of warmth amid the chaos. New Year's Eve. The city is alive with celebration, but Fisk isn't here for the fireworks. He stands before a crowd, delivering a speech that cuts through the festivities like a blade. New York, he declares, is sitting on a powder keg. For too long, it's been lawless, overrun by masked men who answer to no one. That changes now. His administration will bring order, control, and security. No more vigilantes, no more Punisher, no more Spider-Man. The city will belong to the police, the law, and the people. Meanwhile, Hector Ayala walks through the subway when he notices police officers forcefully handling a stranger. Concerned, he steps in to stop them. The situation quickly escalates into a fight. In the struggle, one officer is accidentally kicked onto the tracks as a train approaches. The other officer reacts instantly, drawing his gun and aiming it at Hector. Sheila meets with Mayor Fisk for a consultation, but Fisk briefly drifts off topic, reminiscing about the old table. Realizing the distraction, he refocuses and states his intention to meet with District Attorney Hochberg. Sheila advises him that the first few days in office are crucial for building relationships with key stakeholders. She then points out that Vanessa's resistance is becoming a problem, hurting his support among traditional voters. This doesn't sit well with Fisk, who acknowledges the issue and asserts that he and Vanessa have work to do. Matt arrives at the police station, sensing the kind of tension that sends a chill down his spine. Inside, Hector sits in custody, his situation looking grim. Matt introduces himself as a lawyer, but Hector, confused, says he didn't call for one. Matt explains that the report claims Hector killed a cop. Hector quickly defends himself, saying he was only trying to break up the fight and never intended to harm anyone. He insists he shouldn't be blamed for what happened. Before leaving, Matt reassures Hector that he's in good hands. As Matt walks away, Hector watches him closely, still unsure whether he's actually blind or not. Afterward, Fisk and his team visit the city, where a simple pothole would normally take weeks to fix due to bureaucratic delays. Wasting no time, Fisk gives a direct order to the foreman to have it repaired immediately. The quick action surprises and impresses the onlookers, who cheer at the sight of real change happening before their eyes. Matt argues with Kirsten about Hector's case. She insists that Hector is a cop killer, but Matt defends him, explaining that he had nothing to do with the officer's death and might be innocent. He shifts the blame to the cops, believing something bigger is at play. Cherry steps in, pointing out that the situation is complicated. He warns Matt that taking Hector's side could make it seem like he's going against the entire NYPD. Despite their concerns, Matt stands firm. In the end, he manages to convince both Kirsten and Cherry to see his perspective. As Matt and Kirsten head to court, journalists swarm them, demanding answers. They press Matt on why he's defending a cop killer. Staying composed, Matt firmly states that his client is innocent. He keeps it brief, telling them he'll make his case in court, then moves forward without further comment. In court, Matt argues that Hector has no criminal record and wasn't involved in the officer's death. However, the judge remains unconvinced, stating that a cop's death is too serious to overlook. Without much deliberation, the judge quickly moves to conclude the case, leaving Matt with little room to fight. Meanwhile, Daniel escorts journalist Bibi to Fisk, but takes her phone before she enters his office to prevent any recordings. Inside, Fisk brings up her uncle, a well-known journalist. Bibi shifts the conversation, informing Fisk that Police Commissioner Gallo is set to retire following Fisk's election. She warns him that losing the police means losing control of the city. Fisk listens but soon signals security to end the meeting. As she turns to leave, Bibi tries to ask about Vanessa, but Fisk remains silent. After she's gone, Daniel apologizes for her question. Fisk, however, dismisses the concern, noting that Bibi is not to be underestimated. Heather Glenn is giving an interview, introducing her new book. When asked about her next project, she reveals that it will focus on projected personas, how people present curated versions of themselves. However, she notes that the book is still in its early stages. After the interview, she begins signing books for the audience. A young man approaches and asks if she takes clients. She writes her email on the back of his book and assures him they can talk. The next person in line also asks for a signature, but Heather doesn't realize he is one of Fisk's men. Afterward, Fisk arrives at Vance's funeral, where tension hangs heavy in the air. Commissioner Gallo stands among his fellow officers mourning, but his grief doesn't stop him from speaking his mind. Staring Fisk down, Gallo coldly tells him that his time as mayor will be short. He makes it clear that Fisk doesn't truly love the city. Before walking away, he delivers a final jab to see him around Kingpin. Cherry and Kirsten visit Hector's wife, hoping to convince her to support him in court. Kirsten urges her to appear, stressing that Hector needs her. It's clear there's a rift between them. Hector's wife hesitates and asks if he even has a chance to get out. Cherry explains that with a dead NYPD officer, the police will find someone to blame. However, he reassures her that Matt and Kirsten are strong lawyers and asks if she can provide Hector's suit for court. She agrees and is about to head to the bedroom, but Cherry, eager to help, steps in to retrieve it himself. While Kirsten continues persuading Hector's wife, Cherry searches the bedroom. He finds Hector's suit, but it's not just any suit. It's the one worn by White Tiger. That night, Matt has dinner with Heather. Their conversation is easy and warm, and she seems comfortable around him. In the middle of their evening, Cherry calls. His voice is urgent. He tells Matt about the suit. Afterward, Matt confronts Hector, pressing him for details and even showing him a video recording. The truth is now undeniable, but Matt doesn't waver. If anything, it strengthens his resolve. He understands what it means to wear a mask, to be hunted for doing what's right. The city needs heroes, and he won't let one be crushed under Fisk's version of justice. But this case is a battlefield. Matt warns Hector that the only way to win is by knowing every possible way he could lose. Feeling guilty, Hector apologizes for not telling Matt the full truth earlier. Hector suddenly feels pain. When Matt asks about it, he explains that Rikers Island isn't just a prison, it's a war zone. Beatings come from both guards and inmates alike. Survival there is anything but easy. Meanwhile, Gallo bursts into the mayor's office, slams his resignation on the desk, and declares he's done. But Fisk doesn't even look at the papers. The kingpin in him resurfaces, calm, controlled, but dangerous. Leaning in, Fisk delivers the truth. Gallo doesn't get to walk away, not unless he's willing to lose everything. Fisk holds the kind of power that destroys men. Gallo's confidence crumbles. He hesitates, then gives in. But as he turns to go, he leaves Fisk with a warning. Matt stands before the judge, speaking with confidence. He gets straight to the point. Hector's past as White Tiger doesn't matter. He wasn't in costume and wasn't using any special powers. He was just in the wrong place at the wrong time. The judge listens, thinks it over, and agrees. It's a small win, but in a tough case like this, every win counts. Matt meets with Cherry and asks if he found a witness. Cherry shakes his head, explaining how hard it is to find someone willing to speak up and how dangerous this case has become. Matt's frustration grows. They both know Hector is innocent, but proving it feels impossible. Cherry, worn down, is losing hope. Later, Matt walks alone, lost in thought. Then he spots a familiar face, Powell, the officer who was at the subway the night of the killing. He follows, weaving through the crowd. But a taxi cuts him off as he tries to cross the street. By the time he reaches the other side, he sees the officer disappear into an apartment building. Before he can decide what to do next, his phone rings. It's Heather. She tells him she won't be able to meet. She's taken on a new client. Vanessa and Fisk sit in therapy with Heather. Vanessa speaks honestly. When Fisk was gone, she didn't just survive, she thrived. She took over the business and made it stronger. But their marriage suffered. Power was easy. Love was not. Fisk came back, but things had already changed. What they had before is gone, and Vanessa isn't sure they can get it back. Meanwhile, Matt finds Nikki Torres, the key witness who could change everything in Hector's case. Nikki knows the truth, but the people behind the setup won't let him live to tell it. Matt arrives just in time to see that danger up close. The moment he steps into Torres' apartment, he hears footsteps. Powell is coming. No time to think. Matt shoves Torres toward the fire escape, forcing him out. Powell bursts in, wasting no time. He moves fast, slamming Matt against the wall, pinning him with sheer strength. At first, Matt doesn't fight back. He takes the blows, letting them think he's already beaten. But when a gun presses against his head, something inside him snaps. In a flash, he strikes. Every move is precise, ruthless. He tears through them with raw force, unleashing everything he's held in. Each punch lands harder than the last, fueled by rage, exhaustion, and loss. Powell and his partner lie unconscious, crumpled on the floor. Afterward, Matt visits Hector in prison, promising to get him out no matter what. Hector sighs and talks about Luquillo Beach in Puerto Rico, the most beautiful place he's ever known. His voice softens as he describes it, the warmth, the ocean, the home he misses so much. Matt listens and promises Hector he'll see that beach again. He'll be free. He'll be with his family. Late at night, two men drive a truck down a quiet road. Suddenly, a man steps into their path, signaling for them to stop. At first, he looks like he needs help, but he doesn't. He's a thief. Calmly, he demands their wallets and the keys. The driver, rattled, hands him over without a fight. But his partner isn't so willing. Angry, he tenses, ready to push back. He never gets the chance. Without hesitation, the thief pulls a gun and kills them both. Over lunch, Fisk and Vanessa's tense reunion is interrupted by Sheila, who brings bad news, a double murder near Red Hook Port. Vanessa sees it as a consequence of the current power vacuum, but Fisk wastes no time. He orders Sheila to get Gallo and his team on the case, determined to put things back under his control. But Vanessa isn't pleased. She doesn't like being sidelined. Meanwhile, Officer Powell talks Matt to the restroom, hinting that he might bring his methods to Judge Cooper's attention. But Matt doesn't flinch. Cherry heads to the warehouse to meet Nikki Torres. He's brought what Torres wants, a drug. Before handing it over, Cherry lays it out clearly. Torres needs to testify and to stay calm on the stand. Torres nods, promising he will. Satisfied, Cherry gives him the drugs. When the trial starts, Powell takes the stand. He presents a smooth, rehearsed version of what happened on the platform, painting himself as a seasoned officer with an untarnished record. Matt presses Powell hard, using Nikki Torres as his key witness. Torres has been a police informant for decades, working closely with Powell and Shanahan. Powell denies knowing him. Meanwhile, Cherry is stuck with the difficult job of delivering Torres safely. But things go sideways fast. While driving, he gets pulled over, thinking it's just routine. It isn't. The stop is nothing more than a diversion, and before he realizes what's happening, another officer has already taken Torres away. Torres eventually makes it to court and takes the stand. He openly admits to being a long-time confidential informant, something that should work in Matt's favor. But there's a problem. He's nervous, shaken, and clearly not himself. The weight of the moment gets to him, and instead of telling the truth, he flat out lies. He swears he was home the entire time, throwing everything Matt had built up into question. With Torres backing out, Matt's case is barely holding together. There's almost nothing left to work with, and the chances of winning are slipping fast. Meanwhile, Buck meets with a group of men, but they're expecting Fisk himself. Buck makes it clear that Fisk will not come. He gets straight to business, calling out the shootout from 2 days ago as a reckless mistake. He lists the crimes plastered all over the news and warns them, and announces to them that it is the end. One of the men pushes back, refusing to take orders from him. Buck stays calm and slides a check for $1.8 million to Victor. It's meant to smooth things over, but not everyone is pleased. Without another word, Buck turns and walks away. Kirsten, Cherry, and Matt are worn down by the case. The dead ends, the setbacks, it's all taking a toll. But Matt isn't ready to give up. He suggests putting Hector on the stand, letting him tell the truth himself. If the judge hears his story firsthand, there's a chance, maybe a small one, but a chance that justice will break through. Fisk and Vanessa are talking about the situation. Fisk tells her plainly, what she's trying to do won't work. Vanessa explains that she sent Buck to pay Victor $1.8 million to smooth things over after the hijacking. But Fisk doesn't trust her decision. Frustrated, she admits she only did it to bring peace to the city. Fisk, almost amused, tells her that peace must be broken. Chaos is the price for real control. Vanessa shifts the conversation, turning it personal. She accuses him of punishing her for Adam. Before Fisk can respond, Heather enters, signaling it's time to continue their therapy session. At the court, Hector steps up and tells his side, describing how Torres was being beaten and how he couldn't stand by and do nothing. He lays it all out, his instincts, his choices, his need to protect others. Matt takes things even further. In front of the entire courtroom, he challenges the judge, pulling out the white tiger mask for everyone to see. He declares Hector a hero, making it impossible for anyone to ignore what's really at stake. Judge Cooper is furious. Judge Cooper drags the prosecutor and Matt into his office, furious, reminding Matt that he warned him not to bring up vigilantes in court. Matt pushes back, trying to defend himself, but Cooper isn't having it and storms out. As soon as he's gone, the prosecutor turns to Matt with a cold warning. If he keeps this up, legal action will be taken to make sure he fails. That night in his cell, Hector is upset with how Matt handled things and confronts him. But Matt doesn't back down. He did what he had to do to win. Then he makes one thing clear: if Hector walks free, he can't be White Tiger anymore. The trial may be ending, but for Hector, the real fight is just beginning. Matt and Kirsten bring in witnesses to speak for White Tiger, describing him as a protector, not a threat. Each testimony strengthens their case, showing that Hector acted out of duty, not violence. The prosecution fights back, turning the focus to Shanahan's brutal death. They argue it proves Hector's dangerous strength and frame it as an attack on law enforcement. No vigilante, they insist, should be above the law. With both sides presented, the jury now holds the decision. The case could go either way, and the verdict will change everything. Afterward, the verdict is in, Hector is free, not guilty on all charges. His supporters exhale in relief, but the police are furious. This isn't just a courtroom defeat, it's a direct challenge to their power. News spreads fast. Fisk hears it and immediately understands the impact. A decision like this weakens his grip, making it harder to keep the cops in line. He won't let that stand. Fisk makes it clear, vigilantes must be eliminated. Hector, now free, puts on the White Tiger suit again, unaware his time is up. A gunshot echoes. He falls,